The next topic is repurposing old clothes. Now, I've talked about recycling fabrics and stuff before, but I thought it would be kind of nice to do another live, but also then work it into a standalone video on repurposing old clothes and have it all together, because I have a playlist on upcycling, recycling, and frugality, which I included in the description box, where I broke down different things like how I recycle old t-shirts, how I recycle jeans or upcycle, how I upcycle plastic grocery bags, or what are some other fabrics, old sheets, and so on, flannel. But I thought about doing this a little bit different, where I can let's just talk about all the things you can make from all the different recycled old clothes in particular, but sheets fall into that too. So whether it be flannel shirts, t-shirts, jeans, skirts, especially anything that's cotton of any kind or linen. So many ways that you can take stuff that you don't wear anymore, maybe it's got holes in it, and you can recycle them, repurpose them into other things. And I did go to Instagram. I only did this on Instagram and asked people to see if anybody would have some new, fresh ideas for me. And there was only one in there that was different, and I'll get to that one last. But I'll read off just a lot of the things I've done. So using recycled fabrics, whether it be old jeans, sheets, socks, shirts, especially flannel shirts. I've used those to make quilts. I mean, that's the great thing about quilts, is you can use just about anything in a quilt. But yes, I've used old sock tops, like the bottom of the sock wears out, but you got this nice wool sock top, and I've made a quilt out of that. Jeans are my favorite thing to use for making a good heavy quilt. Sometimes I like to combine that with a cool flannel sheet, whether it be new or used, that I cut up, because a lot of times it's cheaper to buy the fabric as a sheet than it is to buy the fabric by the yard. Yeah, you can make a nice heavy warm quilt. It's not for the sake of being fancy necessarily, just something warm. And just do squares or rectangles. That's my favorite way to do it. But I've heard of people doing this too with like t-shirts that had like different designs on them. Like, especially like, I remember somebody sharing with me how they took all their kids' old sports t-shirts, all through the years, and then made a quilt out of those. And then skirts, I have one patchwork skirt that I have that's entirely from garage sale fine fabrics, that were sheets, pillowcases, a scarf, curtains. And so those weren't all recycled clothing, but you can do the same thing, recycle old jeans, old flannel shirts, and you can cut your squares or your rectangles or whatever shape you want, and you can make your patchwork skirts out of stuff. So you're taking your old clothes and you're turning it into a different article of clothing. Purses, I forgot to write that down. I've used old jeans and flannels to make my own purses. I've sold a few, but it wasn't something I decided I wanted to do on a regular basis. Just for myself mostly. Dog toys. So what I've done is taken old socks and then took scraps of material and shoved it inside the sock and then tied it off. So you can even like take some old, like some of your old clothing that's just totally tattered, cut it up into little pieces, shove it in a sock, tie off the end. You got a dog toy. And then another idea is like taking strips of old denim, braiding it together to make, like the kind of dog toy that they want to do, like the tug of war thing with. That's going to be a lot more sturdy than some things. Pot holders. Make pot holders of all kinds out of any fabric. Well, I say any fabric, but it's always best to use a natural fabric like cotton, something that's not going to melt. If you set something hot on it, jeans would be excellent because they're heavy. But I took a couple of Patrick's old work t-shirts, cut it into strips, and then crocheted a pot holder. It ended up being a really, really thick pot holder, but it works. It's great for if you got something that you want a really thick, heavy duty pot holder. It's perfect for that. I wouldn't do it again because it took me a long time just to crochet it because it was so thick, but it was something fun to try. Aprons, like I've had a lady make me a couple of aprons out of some old jeans that they're really cute aprons, and then I've made aprons out of old sheets. And let's see, shop rags is probably the number one way we use old t-shirts is shop rag. I call them shop rags, but we have them all over. We just call them t-shirt rags. And I just cut the sleeves off and cut them in the best I can. I don't care if they're perfectly square or rectangle. And just those get used every day. Every day they get used as hankies. They get used for cleaning up messes, like when a grandbaby spills something or I spill something. I mean, and I have them in various places, so they're handy. Patrick uses some in his shop rags. But any fabric that's going to be absorbent, you can, you got any old clothes that good cotton, flannel is a good absorbent fabric. Shop rags, especially if it's good for nothing else. If it's really in good condition fabric and it's like cotton or linen, you can make some nice table napkins. You can also make feminine napkins, especially with flannel or diapers or cloth wipes for the bathroom. Flannel is really good for that. Some people will use old t-shirts for those things too. Let's see, bandages and slings. So another thing that I've used old t-shirts for, obviously they're clean in this case if you're going to use it to wrap something like a bandage. Or I've made a sling for myself before when I had a really bad sprain on my wrist. I made a sling to keep, it was a bad sprain. I was so surprised something didn't break in there because I heard something snap when it happened. And it was, but no, it was like a tendon or something that I tore. It was bad. It hurt so bad. But I just took a couple of t-shirt rags and tied them together and made myself my own sling. And it was cheap. Oh, I did that. Also, when my youngest son was he was pretty young, and him and his cousin, we were camping, and they were out behind the trailer playing with an axe. Just about cut off his finger. He had a pretty deep cut because he had his finger. He was sticking his hand to move something out of the way, and Jordan came down with an axe, not really realizing that Justin's hand was there. And just came down, and I thought I heard somebody cry. By the time I got back there, nobody was crying. It was like, what's going on? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. And then he shows me his finger, and I'm like, and I pulled it open. I swear I saw a bone. I swear I saw a bone. I don't get queasy very easy, but I made it right. But that did kind of make my stomach turn because it was just like, oh, wow, we're camping. And this is worse than I thought. Had some Neosporin in the trailer, put that on there, wrapped it with some t-shirt rags. We had t-shirt rags. And then also made a sling for him too, so he wouldn't use that hand. Because I'm like, it's not going to do any good to run him to emergency because they're not going to put stitches in that finger. All they're going to do is, I know this from experience, all they're going to do is put a bandage on it. And then it's not going to be worth the trip because it would have been an hour either way to go to a hospital, and they're not going to stitch up a little finger like that with a cut. They're just going to bandage it. They're going to put Neosporin on it. They're going to bandage it. And I was like, I can do that here. That was the same weekend. I also put a nail through my foot. I was like, boy, this is a fun camping trip. Some other things. Oh, gift bags. So nice shirts, skirts, I said shirts, sheets, jeans. You can make gift bags so easily. Just take a couple of rectangles and stitch them together, and then you can make like a casing. In fact, I have a video somewhere, it might be in that playlist, where I show making a gift bag out of a cute floral sheet, and then just make a casing so you can put a pretty drawstring through there if you want. A cheap gift bag that's reusable. You can even wash it and reuse it. You can't do that with the paper gift bags. You might be able to reuse the paper bags if you don't destroy it. But if they get dirty, you can't just wash them and reuse them. But you can do that with a cloth gift bag. Of course, it's a gift bag given to the person. They get to do whatever they want with that bag when they're done with it. using it as a gift. Let's see. One time, curtains curtains from sheets. I've taken old sheets to make curtains many times. I've done that for when we had that custom conversion van and we used to camp inside it sometimes. And I made curtains that could go behind the front seats, so that, because that was the only window that didn't have blinds on it. So we had that privacy. I've made curtains for bedroom windows and kitchen windows and whatnot of sheets. So you could use just about any old fabric you want. You could even make patchwork sheets or quilts for your windows, the window quilts to get you through winter, using some of those recycled fabrics from your clothing or your sheets or your blankets or whatever. Rice packs, that's another one, or bean or corn. I still like rice better, but the kind that where you use it to heat it up to put it on sore muscles, sore neck, sore back, whatever. So old socks are the easiest because you just pour your rice into the sock and tie it tightly. And then whenever you need to use it, because you got sore muscles or a sore joint or a sprained whatever, you just heat it. This is where a microwave definitely is handy, because a microwave does a much better job. For those who are worried about eating microwave food, this isn't a food purpose. It's for heating that up. The microwave just works best because you're going to keep your moisture content in there, where other types of heat dries it out and it doesn't hold the heat as long. So what I was saying is that, we use that for sore muscles, for like, I'm always seeming to sprain something or whatever, use it for that quite a bit. And then Patrick likes to use them in the wintertime because we don't heat our bedroom. And so it can get pretty cold in there. And he likes to heat those up and use them as his Tootsie toaster. That's what he calls it. I laughed the first time he said that. I laughed so hard. I just thought, he goes, "Is that cute?" And I'm like, that is so cute. Tootsie toaster. Anyway, patches. I really like to use old flannel, as long as it's a really good shaped flannel or a good thick flannel, like from some of Patrick's old thick flannel shirts, or jean material, from old jeans, denim, to make patches for things. But you can use any fabric if you just want to patch stuff up. Sometimes what I'll do, if it's just something like, okay, I got a little hole, I got a stain on this apron, I'm just going to put some patches on it to make it look cute and hide the stains or the holes. Then I don't really care so much about the thinness of the fabric because it's not necessarily a worn spot. I'm just trying to cover stuff up, and then you can make it look cute. And I always leave the edges rough and just do a zigzag stitch. I don't bother folding them over and hemming them. Years ago, I used to have this pair of denim short-alls. They were my very, very, very favorite pair. They were loose and baggy and comfortable. They kept me cool. And I kept wearing holes in those things, and I kept putting more patches on them. But I would add more patches every time just to make it look, this is the way they're supposed to look. And they were cute. It made them look more cute. Then the last one this is one that the idea I got from Instagram, was somebody said they like to take old jeans and then make long strips out of them and braid them together and then use that to make a washable, durable braided rug. I love that idea. And you would have that, the kind of frayed edges all around. I think that would be so rustic and cute that it's making me think maybe, because I still have tons of denim, because people would give me all their old jeans because I was making all these jean quilts, a lot of them just for us or to give to family, but then I would make some and donate them to some charitable causes that were doing auctions. So people, because they would see me do that, they would donate these old jeans. And so I still have a ton, and we have so many denim quilts around here now that it's like, I really don't need any more. And my kids all each have two, and I haven't made any for my grandbabies yet, any denim quilts. So there's that. There's always that, maybe when they're older. Anyway, so just a few ideas there for ways to recycle old fabrics, or mostly repurposing old clothes, whether it be worn out, stained, or it's just something you don't like or wear anymore.